pandemya. Pagkatapos, nagkaroon ng gera sa Russia-Ukraine. Nagkaroon ng gera, Israel, Gaza, Israel-Iran. Meron tayong geopolitical tensions with China. Nabawasan ng mga tourism natin ng 2 milyon. Meron tayong trade war ngayon. May geopolitical tensions with China. Kaya't minabuti natin to protect our economy. Parang gamot yan. Malakas yung efficacy, dahan-dahan yung pagtanggal. Anong gamot para lalong gumaling yung pasyente, so to speak. Opo.
Salamat, Mr. Chair, Secretary. Dako naman ako sa macroeconomic assumptions at yung MTFF pa rin. So, sa 2026 NEP, it's characterized as a budget for investing in human capital development. Tama po ba? Okay.
Because we're spending more, much more compared to 2025 in education.
Okay. At dapat lang, considering yun na nga, sa kasalukuyang budget, natapyasan yung DepEd at saka CHED budget.
Actually, tapyas noong 2025, release namin sa program.
Okay, as Sec Mina mentioned earlier.
Opo.
Okay po, I hope we won't have to go through that circuitous route ever again.
Yes,
Opo.
I hope not to.
Opo. So, narinig natin na humigit kumulang sa 10 trillion pesos ang wish list ng mga ahensya dito sa 2026 NEP. Ngunit 6.7 trillion pesos lang dito ang kayang pondohan para sa susunod na taon. I think, Mr. Chair, I heard Sec Ralph mentioning earlier about 12 out of 17 billion pesos a day lamang sa wish list sana. So, paano naging prioritization na ginawa ng pamahalaan para sa pagpili kung alin sa mga priorities ng bawat ahensya ang pipiliin? At ano naman ang mangyayari sa mga naisantabing priorities at proyekto ng gobyerno, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, yung mga evaluation parameters po natin is first, dapat consistent po siya sa Philippine Development Plan po ng administrasyon na dinraft po ng ating DepDev. Tapos meron din pong mga specific roadmaps po yung bawat ahensya na pinipresent po nila tuwing meron po kaming sectoral at cabinet meeting po. Nakalagay po doon yung kanilang mga priorities and then their timelines po ng kanilang mga programa. Pangalawa po is yung observative capacity po ng mga ahensya. Tinitingnan po natin kung magkano na po yung na-obligate nila, kung magkano na po yung mga nadi-disburse, natatapos, at saka completed na mga projects and programs po. Of course, yung fiscal space na available po. And then, yung prioritization. Kasi kahapon din po, we discussed that the agencies also prioritize their wish list. 10.1 po yan, but usually, inano po nila yan. Nirarank nila 1 to 10, 1 to 20, kung ano yung sa tingin nila na pinaka-importante muna for next year, for 2026, 2027, and 2028. And of course, kasama po dun yung shovel readiness ng mga proyekto.
And since binanggit niyo na rin, Sec, na mayroong pinaprioritize, not just for next fiscal year, pero hanggang 2028. So, ano po yung nangyayari sa mga naisasantabi, at least for next year, na mga priorities and projects?
Yung mga hindi pa po muna nakakasama, kasi minsan yung iba po kasi nagiging wala pa pong handang mga plano, at yung mga programa, walang beneficiaries or bagong programa po siya, pinag-aaralan pa po muna nila and then they will resubmit it sa susunod na budget preparation po.
But I suppose those kinds of submissions hindi mo dapat isubmit kung hindi pa complete staff work, di ba?
Yes,
ano nangyayari po sa mga nag-submit na ng lahat ng kailangang isubmit sa department nyo, pero dahil kulang nga yung pondo para sa buong wish list na di-prioritize sila.
So, we return to them and then may note po doon na siguro kailangan pag-aralan nyo pa yung mga beneficiaries, kung gusto nyo i-upgrade yung mga existing programs, siguro kung kailangan mo ng bagong opisina, kailangan may master plan ka muna, may engineering design ka muna, mga ganun po. At least for the departments po na kaya namin i-monitor.
Bakit? May departments ba na hindi kayang i-monitor?
Yung DPWH po.
Well, that's why we've been talking so much about them. Yung mga gusto nating mas ma-monitor ninyo at namin sa kung...
Yes po, opo.
Opo. And kahit na this is a reiteration, ano po yung flagship programs sa ilalim ng 2026 budget? At anong indicators din ang dapat naming tignan para sukatin yung success nitong budget na to na pinag-uusapan natin?
Yes po, my colleague, Secretary R.C. Balasacan to answer.
Yes, please, Mr. Chair.
There are various infrastructure flagship projects as well as social infrastructure projects that we are currently implementing. Mr. Chair, let me just pull out the relevant tables, but they are in different stages of implementation. Some are expected to be completed during this administration, but the bulk will be completed beyond this administration. Many of these are connectivity projects. About 2/3 of those projects are connectivity projects, ensuring that the growth centers are connected to the outlying areas of the country. We are also prioritizing and developing and improving airports, regional airports, or aim at improving the accessibility of our, not just for tourism, but also for economic activities around the country. The bulk, the big part of big infrastructure projects are, Mr. Chair, of course, the subway that is expected to be partially completed before the end of this administration. The completion will be beyond that, and then this north-south commuter railway that runs from Clark City to all the way to Calamba. That is and then they have some projects in the Visayas and in Mindanao. I can give you the list, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please, through the chair.
Mr. Chair, with the indulgence of Senator Tiberos.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
With what is being discussed by Secretary RC, because yesterday asked about the current infrastructure projects of the administration, specifically the railway system and the airports. Because during the time of the Duterte administration, yung build, nasimula po yung North-South commuter line, Metro Manila subway system, tapos meron pa dapat yung South Long Haul, which is now suspended, and the Mindanao railway system. And pagpasok po ng BBM administration, I was so excited kasi sabi, build better, more. So we were expecting that more railway projects and more airports will be modernized. With the suspension of the South Long Haul and the Mindanao railway system, tinanong ko na rin po kay Secretary Nina Pangandaman yesterday, kasi po na zero na po yung budget niya for the Project Management Office of South Long Haul and Mindanao Railway. Sa akin po kasi kahit pa-suspend ito, we need to continue monitoring yung pong right of way and yung studies para kung meron pong mag-take over kasi hindi umubra in China, handa po tayo. What is the plan of the government? What was the plan of the administration now? As to the South Long Haul and Mindanao railway system. Are there any plans for others to take over? Kasi malaking bagay po to, especially for Mindanao and Bicol region.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. With respect to the long haul commuter railway, the contract with China has been cancelled, and that's for the preparation of the feasibility study. And we have now opened that up for any other player, Mr. Chair. And well, obviously, that will demand another feasibility study because whether it's a France or India or another, or even JICA for that matter, will come in, they will definitely need a feasibility study that confirms their technological. And with respect to the Mindanao Railway, the feasibility study is ongoing, Mr. Chair, and we hope that.
That's why I'm asking with the judgings of Senator Tiberos, this has to continue until we wait for the next player to come in. But kasi po sa NEP po kasi, zero po, Mr. Chairman, ang Project Management Office ng Mindanao Railway System and South Longhorn. So, back to square one tayo yan. If ever a new player comes in, kung meron tayong ma-entice, we'll be starting from scratch again. So, would you recommend, Secretary, that we put at least yung Project Management Office will be funded? Kasi last year, nilagyan po natin yung sinad yun, Mr. Chairman, Senator Tiberos. So, we put a budget para lang magtuloy-tuloy in case a new player comes in, all the monitoring ng right-of-way, all the studies will be intact. Sige po, Sec.
Yeah, the priority right now is to complete that feasibility study, and once that is almost finished, then we can think about secure funding for PMUs, a project monitoring unit. But as of now, there's hardly any need for that because it's just feasibility studies for now.
Thank you, Senator Tiberos, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Salamat, Mr. Chair, Senator JV. Balikan ko, Sec RC, kanina sabi nyo, 2/3 ng mga flagship programs may kinalaman sa connectivity. And sabi nyo rin before that na marami din sa mga priority programs, masisimulan ngayon pero hindi pa matatapos during this administration. Tatawid po sa mga susunod. So, dun sa connectivity projects. So, anong indicators ang pwede nating tignan year on year hanggang 2028 para masabi natin, successful yung pag-appropriate at pag-execute ng mga projects na ito, talagang nako-connect nila yung iba't ibang, hindi lang bahagi, pero capacities within the country para sa national development or para sa pag-realize ng Philippine Development Plan.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, may milestones that we are monitoring. Physical accomplishments, financial accomplishments, and all the prerequisites for construction, like right-of-way. We report, by the way, Mr. Chair, we have a dashboard of this major infrastructure projects, which allows us to see live what's happening in each of these projects, and we report quarterly to the Cabinet and to the President on the progress of these infrastructure projects. This is the first time that this is done where those projects are reported quarterly to the President, and we make the implementing agency account, explain on any delays. So we are quite strict about compliance to the timelines, Madam Chair, because Mr. Chair, because we are very much aware of the cost of delays, particularly in commitment fees and opportunities for GAN.
Salamat, Mr. Chair at Secretary. Maybe to my last question, Mr. Chair, I'll end with the MTFF again. DBCC's fiscal risk statement flags the Mandanas-Garcia ruling as a fiscal risk. However, administration's decision not to enforce the full and timely devolution of spending responsibilities has led to a Mandanas paradox, quote-unquote, of dual funding, in which the national government continues to fund devolved services amounting to an estimated 280 billion pesos to 452.3 billion pesos in national agency expenditures on LGU functions. So, pwede po bang malaman paano ba nabuo yung ganitong policy decision? At paano i-attribute ng